Hello and welcome to another wonderful talk at the Positive Future for Health podcast. I'm your host, Althea Finch. I'm the creator of the Pain Free Method, how to be pain free by tuning into you. Free yourself from chronic pain and long-term conditions. And if you want to find out more about that, go to painfreedom.co.uk. And as well as teaching people how to be pain free with my methods, I also host this wonderful podcast and I meet the most amazing people, guests. And I've been a natural therapist for over 35 years. And I come into contact with therapists and positive thinkers all the time. And I was just really keen to share this with everybody. So this is why I set up the podcast, really. And now we've had the most amazing guests, as well as Mel today, to share their wisdom and their knowledge so we can all learn and grow. So, on today's podcast, we have Mel Riley, and we met recently at Hope Sussex, which is another wonderful venue where Katie, Joe, and Sadie, what's her surname is Sadie
Single.
Single, and it's the most wonderful venue, collection of people, community. Do check them out. So this is where Mel and I met, and they were putting on a wonderful energy day. And Mel was doing these wonderful things around the fire, and we were letting go of and putting intentions and letting go of old stuff. And it's right up my street, and I hope it is for you. And if this is new to you, we're going to hear all about it. So Mel, what got you into all of this energy healing? Where do you come from in all of this?
Well, I used to be a pastry chef
Oh,
many years ago, and I was working in Queensland in Australia, and I was working right next to the gem fields up there, so the emerald fields. And I just happened to meet a guy that I was working with at the time who was into all of this, and I wasn't at all. I was 26, I think, yeah. And I'm now 60, so it's been a few years. And yeah, so anyway, we talked and I decided I was going to go home. So I went to the market, the local market, and there were many, many crystals there. So I bought myself a book from the local shop. I mean, it was, a while ago, but in Australia and especially Queensland, it's pretty spiritual. There's a lot of talk that it's very, very Atlantean, very Lemurian there. So there's a lot of people that are really into this kind of stuff. So anyway, bought a load of crystals and I was going to Bali and on the way home. So I, I basically rented a little shack uh, on this island. There was no electricity at the time. And I realized that I could see things that other people couldn't. I could see auras, and it all just made sense. I'm clairsentient, I'm clairaudient. I used to be clairvoyant, so that means I hear and I sense things. And by hearing and sensing, that forms a picture in my mind. But to a degree, I've switched off my clairvoyance, which means I don't see things so much. Um, Yes, I came home and I sat in what we call a psychic development circle for 4 years. Um, and I was always, well, I was very clairvoyant, but what basically happens when you sit in a development circle, it's what we call a closed circle. So it means that people can't come and go. It's not like a drop-in. That's your place and you are training. And then, yep, did that for 4 years. And then I set up my own little practice in Tenterden, which is where I'm from, which is in Kent. Um, and I started practicing all different modalities, crystal balancing. I was studying as a Bach flower therapist and crystal balancing. And I was working as a spiritual healer at that time. But very quickly, I realized I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy with how my clients were becoming very dependent on me because I was using clairvoyance. So I was, working with angelic realms. I was able to see what was in their body, so I would remove it with spiritual healing. But there was always this dependency. And obviously, when you work as a medium, people come to you because they've lost somebody. And even though that's an amazing job and it's amazing work that mediums do, A lot of people get quite addicted to that. So, um, you know, going forward with that, I don't really do that anymore. I do occasionally, if I run into somebody or they find their way to me, I might speak with loved ones that have gone on, but I'm more about the body now. That's what changed. So I folded up my practice. I had a very young family, and I was dealing with so much grief. I could not really do the two. I couldn't have my young children. And so yeah, and then I just took my meditation groups into village halls and, wove my way around villages, still doing my balancing, but on a less sort of intensive.
And just coming back to the grief, what was the grief? What do you mean?
Working as a medium, it's always grief, people come to you having lost somebody and wanting to, you know, right, right wrongs, heal pain, have chats. But when you've got a young family dealing with a lot of grief, the two didn't work for me. I couldn't hold people
Yeah, for
well
sure.
enough and then go home and cook the dinner and
Yes.
change the nappies and
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever. I'm totally with you. I had two children myself. And so, were you born like this? Family influence or your environment? You made of the stuff, the sensitivity and the clairvoyance and your abilities. Is it just, did you pop into this world knowing that's who you were, or did you discover yourself, or how
yeah.
did it
I
happen?
I don't remember. I'm adopted, so I'm 2 weeks adopted as a 2-week-old baby, and I don't have many recollections of my childhood. Um, and but what I do remember is a lot of very intense dreams. And I think looking back now, having worked on myself, I think that I could feel things. I was an empath at a very young age. I would always notice my mother's pain. I would tidy her cupboards. I would sort out her sewing box. I would do all these different things to make her feel happy because she wasn't very happy. That was my adopted mum. So I just thought everyone was like that, everyone was sensitive. I didn't, as a child, you don't really realize. So yes, I do think I
Right.
was. And now I know my birth mother has passed, but she was also very sensitive. So yes, I believe I was
Mm,
born like this, yeah.
cool. And how soon did you sort of consciously did you start reading people? And did that sort of carry on as you grew with people
Definitely,
and see things and feel things? And did
yeah. I
that
mean, I definitely wanted everyone to be happy.
when you went to Australia, is that when you met your partner
No,
and were
no.
working next to the gem field?
No, that was just a friend. Then I came back to England, sat in circle, set up the practice, then had my children and did the workshops in the village halls. Carried on doing my work. Um, and then my children became older. And then I was like, right, okay, now's my time. So I jumped back straight in and set up a practice again. Only this time it was really different because obviously all the time that I've been a mother, you learn so much as a mother, don't you? Your personal growth, you know,
Totally.
yeah. So that then solidified my a lot of my gifts were a lot stronger, and I'd learned a lot about myself, worked a lot on my shadow stuff. And because I'd worked so much on myself in that time, I could hold people better, and my psychic ability was more, I mean, I don't really work sort of like in the angelic realms or with any lots of guides or anything like that. That's not me. I'm more about the earth and holding people in the wellness way. So getting them well, there's a lot of people jump
Yeah.
into psychic development, and there's a very fine line between being mentally balanced and well and being psychic. So I also
Mm,
help people along the way to
mm.
balance that in my groups. I mean, I do many different things. So I don't know if you want me to say what I do. And
Yes, just say totally, yeah, because then everyone can hear exactly, the array of stuff that you offer.
so I I I I kind of weaved my way around lots of modalities, but I came back to crystal healing Um, well, I say crystal healing. It's not me. I'm not a healer. It's the crystals that change the vibration. So what I say to people is I'm a vibrational therapist and I work with your vibration, but I also work with the vibration of your land or your home. And a lot of people really underestimate the energy of their houses and their homes. So, we'll spend an awful lot of time on ourselves, our mental health, and then we'll step back into our homes without really considering the energy of where we're sleeping, especially, and where we spend a lot of time, where we sit, where we might stand by the sink all the time, if we're washing up or cooking or all the different places that we spend time in. So, as a vibrational therapist, crystals are what I say to people is I'm not a crystal seller. This is your prescription. You need one of these and two of these and one of those because the vibration of that crystal will change the blocked vibration of your body dependent on where, they need to be placed. And that is how we also apply the same rule to the land. I'm a dowser, so I'm a body and land dowser. So the same principle as how people would have dowsed for water many years ago. I use rods, but I also use pendulum because it's more specific, especially for the body. Locate the blockages, exactly the same body and land, and then place crystals on. So the difference is with bodies, I use specific music, which is a certain frequency, place the crystals on, and I douse in the beginning, place the crystals on, use the music, and after the session, redouse. And that tells me how easy it is for you to change your vibration. And then I'll send you the music and I'll recommend different crystals for you. So you can take it away. Everything I do is taught and you can take it all away. So I'm really into building a toolkit, helping you to build your own toolkit because it's expensive times, and you can do it. You've just forgotten, you know. And it's exactly the same for the land. Douse the land, put the crystals on. Obviously, sometimes
Love
with the
that. Love that.
land, yeah, you've got ghosts or, portals and, Roman trackways or, all kinds of different things. To talk about land dowsing is quite in depth. So, you know, but yeah, and I'm a batch flower therapist. So I make up a little 30 ml bottle for you while you're lying down, or I can just do that over online or a call. And he invented 38 different remedies for the imbalances of the personality. And then again, you take it away and you can learn that because Batch wanted people to have their own medicine and not for it to be exclusive. So, yeah, I make high vibration
Mm-hmm.
elixirs too.
Wonderful.
Maybe I'll just say some different examples of what I've done. So, um, many of my clients come to me with psychic, spiritual desire to be more spiritual, to be more trusting, to be more in their place. And I work recommending meditations. Like meditation is number one. If you really want to drop into your spiritual self, meditating and time in stillness is key, absolute key. And that way you will learn to come to know yourself. For me, that's really what it's all about. It's about you knowing you and finding your way back home. That's how I see it. Um, so I've had many clients over the years. One lady I worked with for many years, giving her treatments. And then one day she said to me, she lived in a really, really old house. It was in the Doomsday Book. It was an original water mill. And she said, I really think we need to work on the house, Mel. And this was in the very beginning, when I was doing house dowsing and land dowsing many years ago. And when you're doing land dowsing and working with the person, there's always a connection. There's never, ever, it's never a coincidence as to where you live, the energy of the land, the connection to you, even if there's kind of a spirit still there, um, usually there's a similarity between the spirit and somebody who's living in the house, whether it's the client that comes to see me or whether it's somebody else in the house who's not having treatments, but there's a similarity. Anyway, this particular case, we worked on the house and we realized that there was a man there who didn't let his children out of their bedrooms, and we dropped down into the 1843 it was actually. And he had learnt that behavior from his mother, and he um, was not particularly kind at that time. And when I went into the house and investigated the house, I realized that the first thing I saw was a Victorian woman who was holding these two children's hands. But one of the children, so again, we're talking spirit children, all of this is spirit people. So I'm using my clairvoyance here, or my clairaudience, clairsentient. One of these children was being shown to be disappearing. So I knew that one had disappeared. That's how it works with clairvoyance. Um, and she was still there because she was really, really sad. Now, interestingly, on this house, in this particular room where I picked up this energy, there was like a hatch on the doorway, like a little tiny sliding hatch, that kind of made you feel like it would be on the door of a prison, exactly how they would have that in prison. So this was kind of, it's always unraveling. With a house, you're always unraveling the story. Um, Anyway, then I realised that there was a young lad who'd gone missing, and again tuned into that and worked with that. And he was hiding from his dad. They were playing hide and seek, but they were not allowed outside. This particular day, or where this was, in the day of this time, 1843, the watermill ran through the back of the house. And anyway, this young lad was hiding from his dad, and he slipped and fell and unfortunately drowned. And luckily, because they were in TV, we managed to back this up. And her friend actually went through the records, and sure enough, at 18, I think it was down as 1845, and I'd said 1843, we found this young lad who drowned there. And we just gradually unpicked. I mean, this was a long case. It took about 6 months actually to sort of unravel the layers. Um, and as we unraveled the layers, so the way that you would do that is I would make up a batch flower remedy spray. So I made up a spray for the personality of this man, who was, quite resentful. He was very sorry for himself. He had actually been quite oppressed by his father. He'd watched his father be unkind to his mother. And so you're unraveling his personality, and then you put it into a bottle, and then you spray the area where that spirit dominates. So you can clear that energy in the home. But then what happens is that there would have been people in the house. I'm not going to say too much because she might listen to this at some point. Um, where by spraying the room where this guy was, the spirit guy, it softened his personality. He eventually left, and it would have changed the dynamics of the entire house, and which would have obviously affected them because that's where they lived. So it's and there was a massive great lay that was going straight through the house, so we realigned that. Um, and with different techniques, crystals, and a bit of earth acupuncture. So what I'm kind of getting at is this is very it's kind of in the woo-woo bracket, but actually it is all scientific because dowsing is scientific, it's energy. So if you can raise the energy in your home, you're going to raise the energy in your body. So ideal situation, I do the home, then I do your body, then I do the home, then I do your body. And as you evolve, your home evolves, it all evolves. So if you're only going to evolve your home, sorry, your body, but you're not going to look at your home, then it can scupper, especially if you're high, what we call high vibration, and you're vibrating at a really high frequency, you'll really be picking up on these things. I could go on and give other examples, but there are
Yes, yes,
many.
please do. I mean, I think it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, let's think of one that I'm recently doing. Um, well, the way I see it is the time that we're in at the moment, I feel that the dark is getting darker, but the light is getting lighter. So in a lot of homes, um, there are quite unnoticed and unchecked, quite malevolent forces now. Now, there are a lot more of them than there were before. And I do believe that's because they're starting to panic, you know. It's like, hey guys, we've got to really crack on here because, the light is actually starting to come through the window panes. So, and a lot of those energies are really difficult to detect because even for a very sensitive person, um, they make themselves so still and so quiet that when you go in as a psychic, when you go into a home that's deathly quiet, you know that's going to be a really difficult one because there's nothing. And you know that whoever's there is desperately trying not to be heard or seen. So I'm feeling at the moment with the way that we're going, with the rise of the vibration, there's a rise of these energies. Um, and that's really sort of like it's quite a difficult subject. I don't ever talk about that energy too much because it is quite malevolent
Mhm.
and but it is on the increase. So I do believe that people working on themselves and they're not getting anywhere, especially mentally, spiritually, mentally. Um, there's a good chance that that's going on. I mean, there's a new thing that I've seen in homes, which I call the witch line, which is somebody who's very spiritual. They're always in very spiritual homes. Um, and yeah, malevolent energy can creep in. This is slightly different to the energy that I just spoke about, but um, they're very narrow. For me, they're quite new, and they undermine. Recently I went to a home, and there were three lays in the home, and she was a very spiritual person, very, very evolved. And interestingly, because what you do is when you're dowsing, you find out where they're sleeping, where they mostly sit. And if somebody is choosing to sit somewhere that is not in the lay or not in the bad lay, and their armchair is in the place where there's a really good energy, you know that person's got it. They are evolved. They know where the good lines and the bad lines are, even if they don't know that they know. Their bed isn't in it, their head isn't in it, their chair's not in it. So this was a case of that. This was just last week, actually. But what was happening is where her husband was, he was sitting in the bad lines. His armchair was in the really negative line. And yeah, he was struggling. So you can see you've got two people sharing a house. One's more evolved than the other. Um, so we had three, we had two what we call the classic lay, which is in between. This one was about 12 meters. Both of them were about 12 meters wide, and they were going through the house in different directions. So we look at the flow, which way they flow, and then we put a little bit of earth acupuncture in, so stakes that are about 2 foot long. And it's the same principle as acupuncture. So you tap it with a wooden mallet and you tap, tap, tap until you feel that it's just in the right place. Not too deep and not too shallow. That takes the heat out of the lay. But I do believe that people that do live on lays are only there because they need to see their stuff. A lay will brings everything to the surface. So what you've come into this life, how you've reincarnated, if you're on a lay, it will bring things to the surface, but particularly mentally, it can affect your mental health. If you've got a good grip on your spiritual development, you will understand it and you will hopefully not sleep on it. Um, so yeah, we did some earth acupuncture and then I put some pyrite is the main crystal we use to earth a lay, and that grounds it. Um, and then we used pyrite, then we use black tourmaline. If it's really, really negative, we'll use black tourmaline. And that what black tourmaline does is it says no, absolutely not, go away. Your energy is not welcome. Yeah, so it's either to a thing or it's to the energy. If the energy is so on a witch line, you would start off with a with black tourmaline. You'd use all four. You'd use black tourmaline, you'd use pyrite, then you would use amethyst, which changes negative energy to positive. Yeah. And then rose quartz brings in the love. So all of those were placed on the ground. And the woman, I spoke to her in the evening and said, "How are you doing?" She said, "I have," the next day actually, she said, "I have best night's sleep that I have ever had." Um, Unfortunately, her husband, who was the one on the bad line, he'd actually passed away relatively soon, relatively recently. So I worked with his personality, put a load of remedies in a bottle, sprayed the house, and then I'll revisit and see how we go. But it really, yeah, that was a recent one. But I do many like that, and those are the four crystals. So if, say, for example, we had soldier energy, which there's lots of in England, um, because we're quite a small island and we've been invaded a lot, you would use rose quartz because it's the love. The soldiers didn't want to be there. So if you're living in a house that is over a Roman road or even just a battleground, uh, it's never going to be good. Just loads of rose quartz and then clear it outside. 3 days usually. If you haven't got a garden, then smudge it with frankincense.
And how do you know if you're over a ley line or soldiers are there or bad things have happened in your
Mm.
where you live?
Well, I'm a psychic, so I'm tuning into it psychically. But I teach dowsing. So I teach people by teaching dowsing, you're also teaching psychic ability, but it's of the nature of the land. Yeah. I teach people how to open up safely, to tune in, to sense, to feel, but most importantly, to ground and become themselves and return to what they remember, but they just forgotten. Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? And I mean, I'm a healer and to help people to be pain free. And I really feel like I'm just here to remind you
Yeah.
of your tools you have within.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all, and
Yeah.
that just feels like truth to me.
Yeah.
And so these days you're doing land dowsing and body dowsing. And are you doing anything in between? And you working with the crystals? Is that your main thing you're sharing at the moment, and helping people with at the moment?
Yeah, I'm just about to set up a workshop which is going to be called Light Workers Raising the Vibration. I'm quite drawn to the extraterrestrial. I mean, this is a little bit out there, but the extraterrestrial energy is bigging up at the moment. And as I say, as the light comes in, um, for me, I won't talk too much about that because it's not everyone's cup of tea, but I really feel that rising at the moment. So, light workers that have worked on themselves quite often struggle at the last hurdle, and that can quite often be past life. They get caught up in that. So I'm also a past life regressionist. And yeah, so I help people in lots of different ways, but regression and going back is one of the ways that I do that. So I teach visualization meditation, but once people have come, I always say you've got to come to me for a couple of times with balancing with the crystals first, so I ascertain your mental state, your spiritual state, and whether you're not leaping over massive trauma, to jump back into a very exciting past life. Um, I will then regress them. And then I tailor that. I've just done one this morning for a young lad who's a Scorpio, so he's very evolved. He's working on himself spiritually. Um, and interestingly, he was, back in the times of pirates and, well, it was actually smugglers who wanted to throw a big black bag over his head and cart him off. But then there were some witches there was, so I interact. So as a psychic, I will regress you, talk you into a meadow, down some steps, into another meadow. It's a cross between, I'll douse your energy first, then I'll put a few crystals on you to support you. And then we'll jump onto the back of an animal, go into the meadow, down the steps, onto the animal, take a helper, someone that you know, or someone that Mary Magdalene or something like that. And then we'll go off into the journey. And then, because as a psychic, I will be aware of some of what you're going through. Some of it I won't, some of it I can. So if I feel you're getting into dodgy water, something that your body wants to do but also doesn't, I will suggest like, okay, you know, these. So he was being sort of like hoodwinked by these smugglers, and he needed to move forward. He was stuck in this sort of thing. And I said, right, you know, take out a sword. You're going to slice your way a pathway. These guys are going to move to the side, you know, and then you're going to go on to why you're really here. And then we went on to a, you know, uh, he was very alone, and he felt that his wife had just gone to sea. She had to go to work at sea. I don't know what year this was, but it was big clipper ship time, and the only way out for him was to take his own life. We didn't. That's what he was saying. That's what I felt. But I didn't. That didn't happen. But the sadness and the grief was stuck in his body. So we did a visualization with gold light and drawing in the breath physically, working on the solar plexus, which holds the grief in this case, and then brought him back and come up the stairs. And yeah, I think past lives really, really do work.
I think it sounds amazing. I mean, I haven't worked with you, Mel, but we've just recently met, but I just was blown away. I just felt your energy, very sure-footed, very clear, very kind, very giving, and knew what you're doing. And, it was all there for me. I felt very, I appreciated everything you did. And on the face of it, it was just simple things. It's just blowing
Mm,
smoke to us and
mm,
on the fire and setting
mm,
intentions, and we were guided with different things. A very simple, short ceremony, actually, but I just felt the energy from you. And I mean, I've had a couple of past life therapy clearings myself, not with yourself, but it's really you can literally feel it straight away afterwards, isn't it? When you clear
mm, mm,
a difficult life, it suddenly makes you think, it reflects on your own life. Oh, that's why I do this, and that's why my life is like that.
mm,
Obviously, it's the same thing. It's the same energy. It's
mm,
the same intentions. And then when it's cleared, you can feel it. Energy. You can feel
mm.
it. It's gone. It's not
Yeah.
there in you anymore, and you're
Mm.
suddenly free to whatever you do. I mean, it's literally straight away afterwards with this kind of clearing.
I specialize in a quartz called Lemurian quartz. It's the highest vibration of all the quartz, and they're really good at facilitating past life regression for people. So you literally, it's a tool. You wouldn't have it in your pocket all day long. You know, you would sit with it, meditate with it for about an hour, and they bring up stuck. Particularly, I'm really keen on helping people that are therapists that are still in the witch wound and are still carrying the damage of not quite being able to be fully in their power, fully incarnated, if you like, because the elastic band is still caught up somewhere in the past. Um, so I'm really, really keen on that. I sell high vibration quartz and I specialize in the Lemurian group, of which there are many different types. But past life for me is a big one, especially now because we're in a time where we really need to gather. You know, we need to gather in our tribes now and find your tribe and do the ritual, burn the incense.
I mean, yeah, totally. Go for it. I mean, my teenage children they think I'm mad. I keep putting incense around, but I know that it's clearing.
Yeah.
Oh, Mum, what's that smell? We don't like that, Mum.
Same here. Tough.
I said, it's good for you, darling.
Yeah, the time is now. It
But
really
I
is. We
recently bought.
really need this.
I really feel that. I do, and I think, all this COVID thing we've been through, but actually, it's kicked up opened people up. So many people more are
Mm,
waking up more now
yeah.
because of that, because they're playing their hand out in the open. We can see and we have something to investigate and explore and ask questions about and step away from. And
Mm,
what happened through that was splits of everybody, wasn't it? I even felt a split within myself. I was even questioning myself at the time on the
mm,
hotspot time, but it was split families and friends, lifelong friends and
Mm,
family.
mm,
So,
mm,
and then many of us found gravitated to positive energies and found new family, as I say. And so I'm really feeling what you're saying. That makes complete sense.
mm, mm. Yeah, I say to
Definitely.
people now, either you're either going to get on the train or you're going to be left at the station. It's up to you. It's absolutely your journey. But do you want to be on the train or do you want to stay at the station? Because,
Mm.
you know, yeah, I just think that if you want to be on the train and you want to do what you've come here to, while, I think that the people that are here now have chosen to come here, and so find the people that can help you find, and again, I always think that, you, you're only going to be able to help somebody to the degree that you've worked on yourself. And so what's right for you, yeah, what at one point might not be right for you in a couple of years. That therapist might not be, or that group, or that, I run meditation groups because they're really cheap and I love communal. I love seeing the interaction between people when they all gather. That's my real thing. Let's gather again. And I like doing it outside as well. So this year we're going to be doing a lot more work outside. I've made some really good friends that live on I'm really into fairies and the elementals as well. I teach people how to, don't be ashamed. It's okay. You can say fairy
I
because
believe in fairies.
they're the ones that are helping us to fight the good fight. They're the good guys. Yeah.
Mm.
And once you bring them in, so if you've got a house that's got some, the witch, say you've got the witch line in your house, then you start putting down offerings to the fairies, to the well, I call them the elementals because they might not be fairies, they might be other things, but yeah, they are reticent about coming forward. They're in certain places, like certain energy spots, they're in certain places. But they will come into your home and they will come into your garden. If you put very good chocolate, don't give them Cadbury's because they don't like Cadbury's. Expensive chocolate, expensive cake, and grapes. And you
I
just
think I
put
must
the
be a
bowl
fairy.
down. You put the bowl down and you just say, I welcome in my house spirits or my house, whatever, feel into it. My land spirits, my land elementals, to support me and help me to raise the vibration of my home.
Fantastic. Where do people come and find you?
My website is uh, Be in the Light. Meditation groups, I run three. One is at Eavegate, which is near Ashford in Kent. I run another one in St Leonard's, East Sussex, and I run another one in Tenterden, which is in Kent. Um, and I do various workshops at different times, but I'm putting a new one together. So there's not any information. I'm doing a new website, so there's not much information about um, my group, my dowsing and my workshops this year. As I say, I'm putting this new one, which is all about raising the vibration. It'll be half a day or a whole day, where it's aimed to really cut to the center and really raise the vibration. So that's not out yet, but it will be this year. Yeah.
That's in Kent. Is that
Yes.
in Kent?
Yeah, I do treatments in East Sussex, in St Leonard's, and in High Halden in Kent. Yeah. When you start talking about the things that I talk about, there is a bit of an aversion to that being out there. It's a bit like I guess a lot of these things that you perhaps talk about, or people that you have on there. It's almost like I feel like this doesn't, certain people or certain energies don't want this to be heard, because this is the deep dive. I don't know if anyone's got any questions. Hey,
Hello, Melanie.
how are
Wow, that
you?
was so interesting.
Oh, cool. I'm
Amazing.
glad.
Thank you. And oh my goodness, and you're in Kent.
Yeah,
I'm
where
in
are you?
Pets. I'm in Scotland now, but I was born in
Oh,
Petswood, the home of daylight saving time. Oh,
oh, Petswood, where's
so
that?
up the A20 from you. Petswood is Bromley, Kent, up
Oh,
north. So
okay.
you're
I
the
know.
heart of Kent, whereas I'm just
Yeah.
out of South London. Anyway, yes. So I think what you're sharing is incredible.
Oh, thanks.
And dowsing, I'd love to learn how to dowse. And I did that at Sun and Moon, and I didn't go to that one class. So I
Okay.
think dowsing is great, great. And it's so interesting to know
Yeah.
about all the lines because I'm sure this house that I bought 3 years ago, I'm sure there are things in it because things keep disappearing. It's
Oh,
really
really?
odd.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh, Maybe there's something that has that happened to you before
yes, it's
in
happened a
other
few
houses?
times.
Yeah,
No,
so it
not in
could be
other
to
houses.
do,
No, it's
yeah.
this house. It's this house.
Oh, okay.
Sure of it. Oh,
Yeah. So sometimes I think when we move into a house, um yeah, as I said, sort of like our energies, there's always 100%, there's a link to our the energy in the house, whatever that energy is, and to our own energy. And if we can look at it with clarity, it can help us to unlock things about ourselves that we need to sort of see or let go of or step into, or many different options. Um, but yeah, I can always do, if you wanted to do any work with me, I can always do that. I don't do remote work, but what I do is I say to people, give me a bit of a history about your what's going on and a little bit about yourself as well. And maybe we'll do some batch flow remedies for you initially, and sort of start your energy, have a chat about your well-being journey. And then if you draw a map, you can send me a map and I will douse your map. And then I do that. Yeah. I
oh,
don't,
wow.
I can't clear remotely. I used to, but that affected me so much.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
yeah, I don't do any clearing remotely. I do like to be on what I call on the ground with it. Ideally, I'll go into your house and I'll really, sink in, and it's always a 2 hour, minimum 2 hour, when it's actually in person. Um,
Right.
yeah, but dowsing on a map. But as I say, we work with you initially, but alongside your house, because you talking a little bit about yourself and then just doing the batch remedies um, will change. Sometimes can change the energy in the house. Yeah. It all depends. It can be lots of different things. As I say, we sometimes need to block a line. But I don't go in and sort of, what's the word? I don't go in and like a priest and sort of throw holy water and clear things, because there's always a story. So if there's a
Yes.
spirit or whatever, I'll listen to his story. Um, it might want to be heard, or he might not want to be heard. He might just be a pain in the ass and has no intention of going anywhere. In which case, that's a little bit harder, but I can do that. But we have to figure out the story first. Um, because basically, for me, when I'm clearing a spirit, if I clear them and they leave happy, then they're not going to come back. It's one more soul that's clear, even though they're a spirit, they're not
It's
living.
helping somebody else as well as ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't force anybody, but my dad was basically passed away in 2003. And my mum's still got his ashes in the house, and I don't like that.
Oh, really? Yeah. That can affect the energy of houses.
I think it has. And my
Mm.
mum, she posted something on Facebook, and I know this is, oh, hopefully it's not there, but it's a very private thing for my mum. But she
Mm.
shared something about before my dad, and I don't know if she intended to do it. Facebook is can be
Oh,
dreadful,
golly.
but she
Yeah.
shared it on there, and I'm thinking, oh, she's obviously still got feelings.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I do. So in the process of setting up a new website, which
Your
will
website.
basically, you'll be able to go into the website and you'll be able to do meditations and look at it'll be based on the chakra system. So you can say, for example, you're working on your throat. You'll go into it and then you'll see meditations for the throat, for crystals for the throat, different elixirs that I make. It'll all be based around the throat, and then there'll be information on dowsing. I mean, a lot of my stuff is free. I just want people to have this information and to be able to do it. So, to be clear, so that by being clear, you'll raise your vibration, but you'll also raise the vibration of the land, and the people around you will be affected by that. And if we just all did a little bit of that, I mean, we are all doing it. Lots of people do it different ways. This is my way. Um, then yeah, it'll all work out.
I think
And we'll all
that
be,
is it though. Yes.
yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, for me, when I have people that come to me with physical things, I say, well, I will listen, but I'm not really interested in your physical body. I'm interested in the vibration of your physical body. And why isn't it vibrating in that area at that frequency? So I'm more about, it's all about the frequency, it's all about the vibration for me. So I really think that vibrational medicine's where it's at. But I will have to go soon because I'm off to Hope actually. We've got a load of manure coming, and we're having a electroculture set up put in. I don't know much about it, but it's basically these big pillars of crystals that are being put into our vegetable garden where we grow veg over at Hope in East Sussex. And
Oh wow.
yeah, there's an awful lot of manure waiting for me to unload it. So I will
Lucky you.
have to
Oh
go.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful
Great.
day for it, isn't it?
Yes, and
What's it
Hove's
like up
lovely.
there?
That's where I used to love the Hove because that's where I was in the TA as Hove Dyke Road. So
Oh no, this is
yes.
Hope. H O
Oh,
P
Hope.
E.
Oh, sorry, I
Oh, so
misheard.
you in
I don't
Hove,
even
like
know
near
where that
Brighton?
is.
That's near Brighton,
Yes.
isn't it, Hove? Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Hope, East Sussex, which is where we met. Altira and I met at Hope, Sussex, which is a place for children that
Oh,
don't go to school.
oh, lovely.
Yeah, and I help them to grow veg. I'm also a gardener. I do
Oh, wow.
50% gardening and 50% therapy.
Good
So
for you. Wow. Have you heard of the eco veg where you grow things in water rather than the soil?
I have heard of it, but I've never done it. No.
Wow, I've got a machine. My friend created it all.
Oh,
This
really?
this hydro veg, and I thing is, I grew dandelions as an experiment because
Right.
dandelions are supposed to be a good medicine,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I didn't trim the roots, and it choked it, and it's
Oh.
so I'm waiting for her to give me a new filter because it's
Oh,
not very
blimey.
working.
Oh, it sounds
Anyway, less of
interesting.
that.
So I'm going to have to sign off, I think, which is a shame, but I've got to go and borrow some manure.
Yes, good luck with that, and thank you, Althea, for finding you. Amazing.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Rose. Thought about your vibration. We all know that if we eat certain food, that's gonna block our guts or but it is if we go to a certain place with people that we don't like, or we're at a family meeting and we find that person difficult, um you know we all are aware of vibration because it basically that's what it is. It's all about vibration and what we gel with and what we don't gel with. But it always comes back to the heart. Everything always comes back to the heart chakra. So in between the throat and the heart is the higher heart chakra, which is a spiritual center. And it's the color of the Bahamas, the sea. And in this chakra, so again, it's sort of about here. So between the throat and the heart. And it's all about trust. It's all about acceptance. And it's always about I'm always in the right place at the right time, even though it might not appear so. And for me, everything I do is based on that. We're always in the right place at the right time, even though it might not appear so. And once you take that on board, once you open up your high heart chakra and believe that everything that happens to me because at some level it needs to, you let go of so much baggage and you raise your vibration. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. And my contact details www.beinthelight.co.uk. It's my website. You can find my information on there and contact details. And I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day in the sunshine. Thank you.
Happy
Yeah,
shoveling.
thank you. Bye.